بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
So we are about to finish our mock lab scenario here. You can see we already tested this link. This is working, and this link. So up to here we finished. So we just have only two links left, these two links. Let us try to fix that one as well. Now router 1 is connecting to router 2. Here you can see this is my logical topology, and then router 2 is again connecting to router 5. Okay, this is my topology here. But the question here is, you can see these two interfaces. These are f0 by 0.12 and this is f0 by 0.25. Now that is the difference. So whenever you see these sub interfaces, now you have to remember the third lab. If you remember, we did one basic scenario. Based on this, we need to follow the same example here. Now here I'm going to use f0 by 0, and the other end is also f0 by 0. So this is my logical topology. Now I should convert this logical topology into my actual physical topology, and then I have to configure the VLANs, trunking, whatever is required as per my requirement here. So let's draw the physical topology here. Now router 1 is connecting to f0 by 0, which means f0 by 0 is connecting to switch 1, which means router 1 is having a connection to switch 1. And I'll draw router 5 here. I'm taking this router 5 is also connecting to router 2 or f0 by 0. So this is my f0 by 0 and this is my f0 by 0, which means both the ends are going to switch 1, and this is my f0 by 1 port and this is my f0 by 5 port. And then if I take router 2, this is my router 2 here. Now this is my router 2. Router 2 is also connecting on f0 by 0, which means it is again connecting on switch 1 on f0 by 2 port. Okay, but the difference is this router 1 and router 5 are using the default physical interfaces, but the router 2 is not using the default physical interface. It is using sub interfaces. I think I'm using f0 by 0.12, f0 by something, I think 25 I'm using. So it can be any number, just generally we use the same number. This kind of numbering really help you to understand which one is going which way, which connection. So VLAN 12, and here I'm going to use VLAN 15. So which means on the router 2 I had to create sub interfaces, and the next thing is this interface facing router 2 must be configured as a trunk, and these two ports must be a part of, not two ports. So this port must be a part of VLAN 12 and this port must be a part of VLAN 25, and this should be trunk link, and on the router 2 we should have sub interfaces. Now this is our physical connection, how they are. So let us do some configurations now. So now I'll jump to my router 1 first. I'll start with router 1. Just start with the simple things. On the router 1, just we need to assign the IP address. Very simple. Just go to my interface f0 by 0, IP address 10.0.12.1/24 subnet mask, and then no shutdown command. Router 1, it's just a simple basic configuration of IP addressing. Now router 2 also, I think the same thing we need to do on the router 2 as well. I'll go to router 2. So this is my router 2. Sorry, I'll come to router 2 later on. So I just go with router 5 first. Okay, it's because router 2 is having sub interfaces. I'll come to those sub interfaces later on at the end of this configuration. So I'll go with the simple configurations which are using my default physical interfaces. So interface f0 by 0 on the router 5, it is using 10.0.25.5 with /24 subnet mask. Done. Router 5 is done. Now the next thing is router 2. Now router 2, I need to create a sub interfaces, so I'll start with router 2 configurations here. So router 2 f0 by 0, I'm going to give no shutdown command, and in case if you have any IP address on the physical interface, just simply remove it. Here anyway I don't have any IP address, so I'm going to say interface f0 by 0.12 which will be a part of VLAN 12, and then the IP addressing will be 10.0.12.2 as per my topology. So IP addressing can be anything as per your requirements. So I'm going to use some standard way of assigning the IP addresses. I'm going to create one more subinterface, which is f0 by 0.25, and here it will be the similar commands, just a change of the VLANs, and the IP addressing also it will be 25.25.2. Done. So now if I verify on the router 2, I created two subinterfaces with the respective VLAN. This subinterface belongs to VLAN 12 and this subinterface belongs to VLAN 25. So mostly on the three routers I finished the configurations, where on the router 1 I just configure a physical interface IP, router 5 a physical interface IP, and on the router 2 I created subinterfaces and I assigned the IP addresses as per the diagram. Now the last part I have to do is the configurations on my switch. Now on the switch 1, I had to start with port number 1 and 5 should be a part of separate VLANs. In that, port number f0 by 1 should be a part of VLAN 12. Okay, and interface f0 by 5, which is connecting to router 5, must be a part of VLAN 25. So I'm going to say switchport mode access VLAN 25. And the last thing we need to do is we need to configure the interface which is facing towards router 2, which is having subinterfaces, must be configured as a trunk. So I'm going to say switchport mode trunk encapsulation.1q switchport mode trunk, and switchport trunk allowed VLAN is recommended command, so where I'm going to allow only the VLAN 12 and 25. So I'm going to allow only these two VLANs, VLAN 12 and VLAN 25. Done. Now I think we finished all the configurations. The final thing is testing part. We need to go to router 2. Router 2 must be able to ping to router 5 interface, and router 2 must be able to ping to router 1 interface. So I'll go to my router 2. On the router 2, I'll try to ping 10.0.12. Okay, so I'll type it out 10.0.12.1, which is connecting to, so I'm trying to ping from router 2 to router 1. You can see it's pinging, and similarly I'll try to ping from router 2 to router 5 25.5. I should be able to ping. So you can see the ping is successful. Now the traffic coming from here will go as a subinterface, reaches the trunk link. From there it will go to the respective VLAN and then reaches the other end. But at the end it just shows this is my logical topology, how it is shown, and this is the default physical connections, how they are connected, and we are just ensuring that they just look like this as if they are connected. Okay, so it's these examples will give you a very good idea on understanding how the default logical and physical topology. So especially it is very useful to especially in the configuration section in your lab exams, some troubleshooting connectivity, you may be tested to do these configurations initially.